Hey, what's up, fam? Thank y'all for tuning in once again. As always, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And when you do subscribe, hit that notification bell so every time I drop a video, you will be the first to know about it. This story comes out of the great state of Texas, more specifically Houston. It's about a pastor who was ordered to pay money to a female he met on Facebook because he gave her an STD. Amazing. You know, it's a reason why a lot of brothers have veered away from the church. Not veered away from the Most High. It's just the church. It's just something about a lot of churches out there that are just not legit. Now you got a bunch of them that are, but it's just some of them that and these are the ones that get the most, I guess, exposure. The ones who got the most controversy. Got the most scandals and stuff. Those are the ones that are always promoted, which makes people not want to go to church any longer. But in this story, it's no different. Now we're going to go to the madamnoir.com page. I wanted to go to this Christian post and see what they how they explained it, but they didn't go into enough detail. So unfortunately, we had to go to this Divest the Will page. But anyway, it says Houston pastor ordered to pay $2.45 million after transmitting herpes to woman he met on Facebook. Now, here's my question. We're talking about one that's a pastor. Now, people I've seen want to give a pastor a pass, want to say to have grace, want to say forgive the man. But the issue with that is there are certain positions in the world where you shouldn't get passes, certain passes, right? Now, if you make an immediate mistake or immediate choice and it's the wrong one. Now, I can understand some things like that you should get a pass for, like if somebody's confronting you and they just, boiling your blood, and you haul off and slap them or hit them or cuss them out or whatever, that can happen, But when you're talking about something that takes time, you've thought about it, you research, figured out what you're going to do, create a plan, and you have time to say yes or no if this is the right thing or the wrong thing, and you act out the plan, things like that. No, you shouldn't get a pass on it. So being a minister or a pastor, an elder in the church, scripture tells you, matter of fact, real quick, let's see if I can find it. I'm going to gotquestions.org, and it says, what are the qualifications of elders and deacons? And we're just going to read this real quick to preface the story so you can have a different understanding about where I'm going with this. It says the qualifications of bishops, elder, pastor are found in 1 Timothy chapter 3, verse 1 through 7. And real quick, he's a trustworthy. Here is a trustworthy saying: whoever aspires to be an overseer desires a noble task. Now, the overseer is to be above reproach, faithful to his wife, temperate, self-controlled, respectable, hospitable, able to teach, not given to drunkenness, not violent, but gentle, not quarrelsome, not a lover of money. He must manage his own family well and see that his children obey him. And he must do so in a manner worthy of full respect. Let's say he must not be a recent convert, or he may become conceited and fall under the same judgment as the devil. Now, that goes well in hand with a lot of these guys who say they were former pimps and then turn to preachers tomorrow. Or people say that they seen the light, the error of their ways, all these years of doing wrong. Now all of a sudden they got an epiphany and now they're going to go and become a pastor, a leader of the church. There's nothing wrong with being a convert. People do things, turn their life over to the Most High, and then it's a process. Because even in the scriptures, it knows that nobody changes overnight. It takes time. So for a person to, to be an instant pastor, jump on top of a soapbox and get his own pulpit after he had years and years and years of doing wrong, may have been in prison, this and the third. Nah, to lead the congregation. The scriptures say that shouldn't happen because there's too much temptations, and temptation will follow you. So with that being said, so this pastor here, he has been a pastor for over 20 years, but let's get into it. It says Ralph Douglas West II, a prominent Houston pastor, was found guilty of transmitting herpes to a woman he met on Facebook and had unprotected sex with 5 years ago. Now, here's the question. Do you are the minister of a mega church? 20,000, I think they said, but we'll get into it more. Why would you go on Facebook to find a woman? From what I know, these churches, especially these down here in the South, these mega churches, they are full of women. The majority of these churches are full of women. 50, 75, 80% of the congregation is full of women. You telling me that you could not find one woman to try to be with? But let's get into it. West II, an assistant pastor at Houston's The Church Without Walls. Church Without Walls. Man, like the pastor was trying to find out if the woman he was dealing with had some walls, with some walls. He trying to find a woman with some walls. Was ordered to pay the unidentified plaintiff $2.45 million after he was found guilty of infecting a woman with herpes on October 12th. Well, October 12th, I guess, was he got found guilty, not the date that he did it. Under the hefty court order, West II will have to shell out $1.45 million in compensatory damages and $1 million punitive damages to the plaintiff. The pastor, listed as a minister of the church's Eldridge campus, was also found guilty of battery, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and fraudulent concealment after he avoided disclosure of the sexually transmitted ailment. This goes back to a video I did before about when you break the law or commit some form of crime. You may think you're doing one thing and think, oh man, if I get in trouble, it won't be a whole lot. It's like I said, if me and my girl is fighting, or not fist fight, but we arguing, whatever, and let's say I'm trying to leave, and she runs in front of the door, and she she closes the door. She say I can't leave, and let's say she, I don't know, has a bat in her hand or a hammer or a knife or something, and say we're going to talk. Not really meaning, have no intention of causing harm to me, but she said we want to talk. We're going to talk. If I call the police and they come, they will arrest her. One of the things they will arrest her for will probably be terroristic threats, threatening with a firearm, assault with a deadly weapon, I don't know, and kidnapping. Kidnapping to get you should damn their life a lot of times, but that's all I'm saying. You could do one little thing, do a sexual act, and now they said he's been charged with battery, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and so on and so on and so on. So they just added on charges. And I'm surprised he didn't get jail time. It says, what happened to the plaintiff? The plaintiff's lawyer, Sean Murphy, claims she contacted herpes a few days after meeting West II on Facebook. Now, herpes, as in like many other transmitted STDs, herpes could take anywhere from, let's say, 2 to 20 days to incubate before for the symptoms show. So also, it could be months to years before, you show any signs. So that's the question is, I'm sure what came up in the trial is, how do you know that he's the one who gave it to her? So let's continue. She got an outbreak 2 or 3 days later and then went and got tested. So here's the thing, y'all been on Facebook. It don't say how long y'all was on Facebook talking pastor. And then y'all meet up and y'all have intercourse. And y'all have intercourse without protection? Hold on. From there, though, the medical records, we were able to identify that he was a source of it, in part because she hadn't been with anyone else. She had a prior negative test. Now, one, how do you know that she ain't been with anyone else? That's something I would never believe. I mean, unless you just a stone cold virgin, everybody know you're a virgin, whatever. How do you know that she hadn't been with anyone else? Because if she's a virgin, she most definitely, her first time would not be with a pastor or a stranger that she met on Facebook, raw dogging. That makes no sense. And if she hadn't been with anyone, why are you taking a test if you hadn't had sex? Why have you taken a test earlier that year or at any time if you hadn't been with anyone else? So undoubtedly you've been with people or persons or whatever, and you took a test because just to make sure, because you didn't know, because maybe you was ready to start back having intercourse. So you want to make sure that you are clean so you can go on about your daily business of something that you've probably been doing. You just been lucky and blessed. Hallelujah. Additionally, the legal aid obtained emails that captured the pastor discussing his infection status with the plaintiff after he engaged in unprotected sex with the woman in March of 2018. So one, you got a pastor who's raw dogging a woman, a pastor. Remember what in the beginning of the video, what stipulations you must have before you can become a pastor. And so you raw dogging this woman, he met on Facebook, don't know her, never met her, then you see her, and then y'all have unprotected sex. There are thousands of gas stations across this great country. Tens and hundreds of thousands probably. Every last one of them, even Walmart's, H-E-B, and grocery stores, whatever. And every last one of them have some form of contraceptive to where you can wrap up your tallywhacker so you can go ahead and handle your business. Now, I'm not advocating for no pastor to do things that he ain't supposed to be doing, but I'm just talking to us citizens, us squares in the regular world. You should have, like I say, this is just something that he shouldn't have done. Like I say, it's ways to protect himself. Quote, he never once denied that he had it or that he knew that he had it, Murphy alleged. According to lawyer, West II allegedly admitted that he contracted the disease from his son's mother. Now, why did he not say his ex-wife? So could it be that this pastor of 20 years has a baby mama? You see, the problem is, and what's wrong with the church is these people, yes, you are held at a higher standard as a minister, period. And you got to uphold that standard as long as you in this ministry until the day you die, period. So you tell me that a pastor of 20 years, he has a baby mama, wasn't married? That doesn't go, see when you play with the Most High like that, that's where your problems come in, you know, that's where the problems come in. So now you out here again dealing with your son's mother, but then so you dealing with a woman who was out there in them streets and messed around and caught a disease, and so I guess that's why y'all not together. I guess that's the story you're trying to tell. I want to read the transcripts of this damn trial. In a statement to Fox 26, Houston Murphy said he hopes the verdict sent a strong message to people throughout Texas and the United States infected with an STD that disclosure is imperative. They must disclose having the disease before engaging in sexual intercourse or any others. It is also important for those who have suffered harm after being infected due to another's negligent or intentional conduct to know they have legal remedy. Yes, it is illegal. It is against the law to have sex with anybody and not tell them. You see, now, especially if you have medical records. Now, it's one thing if you didn't know, but he knew that he had it. She knew she didn't have it. She didn't have it. So once you know that you have it, because a lot of times people say, oh, I didn't know. You know what I'm saying? You gave it to me. No, you gave it to me. Well, nobody knows because nobody was smart enough to go get tested. Okay, well, those are the consequences of being ignorant. But he knew. He knew he had it. She knew she didn't have it. So West II leads the Church Without Walls alongside his father, Ralph Douglas West Sr. Founded in 1997, the church boasts over 20,000 members. It has 3 locations across Houston. So again, in Houston, it's probably why you had to go to Facebook and find a female, because you couldn't risk having this and then giving it to, but you couldn't risk temptation, but you couldn't, not risk temptation, but you were willing to risk the temptation and go out there and do this, that, to where if you pass this along to somebody, anybody is gonna put you on Front Street and prosecute you and sue you. And this is what happened. It said the church's website lists salvation as a core principle of Houston-based establishments. Religious practice, we believe in God's saving grace, that the blessings of salvation are free to all through the gospel, that the requisite of acceptance is a thankful, penitent, and obedient faith, that nothing interferes with the salvation of the sinner except his refusal of the gospel. The church without walls states, well, like I say, if you're not doing what you're supposed to do, you are refusing the gospel. People always want to say something about faith. What do they call it? Not faith, grace. People all talk about grace and saying that the Most High forgives and this, that, and the third. Well, see, if you haven't read, which it seems like a lot of people haven't, once you claim something to be a believer, once you claim a certain lifestyle, you can't go back and keep doing the same thing over and over and over again and ask for forgiveness and think that's how it's going to work. That's not how it works. The whole part of grace is forgiving you for past sins, for past transgressions, and not understanding the ramifications of the consequences, or waking up one day and getting an epiphany and saying, I've been doing wrong. I'm no longer going to follow that route. That's what the grace comes from. But it says, you forgive as humans, you're supposed to forgive. But it say 7 times 7, and stuff like that. But it's not for you to keep doing something for your salvation, because you are supposed to be an example of what you represent, of your religion. You got guys out here, let's say you got gangbangers. Being a gangbanger is their religion. And they're going to uphold it to the fullest. They're not going to veer from it. They're going to do everything they can to prove their worthiness. That's their religion. You got people out here who, who are pastors. And they want to sit there and teach the congregation. They want to lead them the right way. They want to lead them to salvation, lead them to heaven. And they won't allow anything to veer them away from that. That's how it's supposed to be. If you veer away from either one of those, good and bad, you suffer consequences. And that's what this man, unfortunately, is going to have to suffer. For a guy in his position, no, he shouldn't remain the pastor. Should not. He had to step down. That should have been immediate, because it's a stain on the church. And too many times we see this happen in these churches all over the country, where these pastors, they doing messing with little boys, or what was one pastor who was doing something with a family member since they was, I don't want to tell the story wrong, but I think since they was 9 or something like that. It's like, no, everybody talking about they call. Everybody's not called. People just call themselves. And a lot of times you got to be careful of the voice that you're hearing in your head, because the voice of Satan is not going to sound like the voices of Satan you hear on TV, where it's real deep and dark and grok, and it sound like he, got frogs in his throat, and then the clouds turn black and red and stuff like that. No, that's not how it's going to happen. It's going to sound like your voice. It's going to sound like the voice of an angel. Remember, Hashatan was the number 1 angel next to the Most High before he fell to, was it the 3rd heaven? Yeah, 3rd or 4th heaven. So anyway, that's all I got for the story, man. Tell me what you think about this story. Leave a comment below and then share it with the world. Yes, everybody, pastors are held to a higher regard. I think the reason why people want the pastor I think people want folks like ministers to falter, because they want to bring them down to their level so they can say, hey, you ain't no better than me. Hey, look, my pastor, he's going to heaven and he's doing wrong. So shoot, come on over here, pastor, so that way I can I can get into heaven too. That's what I think people think. You know what I'm saying? If somebody in the ministry can mess up, can consciously mess up, then that means we constantly mess up, then that means we all going We either all going to heaven or we all going to hell, but we going together. And that's the way people think. And that's not the right way to think. Higher standard. But anyway, with that being said, I leave you in peace. And I'll see you on the other side.